Hello students, from this week I'm going to record short videos and then I can send them to you. I will send them to you so that you can see them. It's going to be short, okay? But hopefully it'll be useful. Okay, so we'll finish this module, okay? So other elasticities, okay? So in the previous module, we learned the price elasticity of demand. We learned that this is always negative. Why? Because when there is an increase in the price, and there is a decrease in the demand for that, according to the negatively sloped demand curve. Okay. In the last class, we also learned cross price elasticity of demand. We're going to briefly review this concept today. We'll also define the income elasticity of demand, and then we're going to learn what it is. Okay. Finally, the price elasticity of supply. Okay. Let's briefly review the cross price elasticity of demand. It measures how sensitive the quantity demanded for one good is to the price of the other good. Okay. So formally, it's defined as the percentage change in quantity of one good demanded divided by the percentage change in the price of the other good. Okay, it's useful to talk about this example. Okay, so let's say there is an increase in the price of a hot dog, one good. Okay, and it went up by 10%. Okay, in response to this price increase in hot dog, uh, there was an increase in the quantity demanded for hamburger by 5%. Okay, so the cross price elasticity of demand can be calculated by dividing 5%. Okay, 5% by 10%. Okay, so that the elasticity is 1 over 2, 0.5. Okay, so in this particular case, the cross price elasticity is positive. Okay, let's see that this is positive. Okay, because it makes sense that the demand for hamburger goes up when the price of a hot dog goes up. Why? Because people will people will easily switch to hamburger when there is an increase in the price of a hot dog. Okay. Specifically, we say that these goods are substitutes because in the sense that these hot dog is an alternative to hamburger, and hamburger is an alternative to hot dog. Okay. So whenever there is an increase in the price of a hot dog, people will switch to hamburger. Okay. So the price of a hot dog moves in the same direction as the quantity demanded for hamburger. Okay, so the cross price elasticity of demand is positive for substitutes, but it's not always the case. Okay, if the two goods are complements, then the cross price elasticity is negative. Okay, so let's take an example of gasoline and car. They are complements because they are consumed together. Okay, whenever there is an increase in the price of gasoline, people will demand less of car. Okay, because the operating cost of a car will become more expensive when the gasoline price is higher. Okay, so so in that case, the cross price elasticity is negative. Okay. So this is what we saw in the last class. Okay. Now let's define a new elasticity, which is called income elasticity of demand. Okay. It measures how the quantity demanded for a good is to the change in income. Okay. So formally, it's defined as the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in income. Okay. Should it be negative or should it be positive? When you become richer, when you have a larger income, would you increase the consumption of one good? It could be either positive or negative. Okay. So let's take this example. where there was an income increase for consumers by 10%. Okay, as people get richer, people will increase the demand for car, let's say by 20%. In this case, the income elasticity is 2 because 20% is divided by 10%. Okay. In this case here, in this particular case, the income elasticity is positive because when there was an increase in income, people reacted by increasing the demand for that good. Okay, we say that this is normal good whenever income elasticity is positive. Okay, a higher income leads to a larger demand for that good, then it's a normal good. Okay, however, there could be other case where the good is inferior. Okay, so will you decrease your consumption on hamburger when you become richer? You maybe do, or you may do like that because hamburger is inferior good. Okay, because when you become richer, when you make more income, you will eat other better foods rather than hamburger. You will not consume instant noodle as much as you did when you become poorer. Because as you become richer, you will actually reduce your consumption on these goods. Okay, so they are examples of inferior good. Okay, so that's income elasticity of demand. Okay, whether it's positive or negative tells us whether it's normal good or inferior good. Okay. The last measure is elasticity. The last elasticity measure is the price elasticity of supply. Okay, it measures how supply is sensitive to the price change. Formally, it's defined as the percentage change in quantity supplied divided by the percentage change in the price. Okay, should it be positive? Should it be negative? As you guess, it is always positive because as it is more expensive, as the price is higher, as a seller, you will be happy to supply more of that good. Okay, so that's why they move the price and quantity supply move in the same direction. So the price elasticity of supply is always positive. Okay. Okay, so let's take this example. Let's say the price of apple went up by 5%. Okay, the farmers reacted by increasing their supply of apple by 10%. Okay, using these two numbers, the price elasticity of supply is 2. 10% divided by 5%, which is 2. Okay. So it's useful to look at these two extreme cases. Okay, the first case is the supply of cell phone frequency. Okay, so this is a case where the supply is perfectly inelastic. Okay, so the vertical axis represents the price of cell phone frequency. Let's say there was an increase in that good from 2000 to 3000. Okay, as you can see, there is no change in the supply at all. Okay, it's fixed at 100. So in this case, there is no change in supply. So it is said to be perfectly inelastic supply. Okay. In this case, because there is no change in the supply, so price elasticity of supply is 0. What about this other extreme case, where with a small reduction in the price, okay, there is reduction in the supply to 0, okay, to 0. But when there is an increase in the price, there is actually a very large increase, infinite increase in the supply. Okay, so other than this $12 per pizza, the it can be either. So if the price is below or above this price level, the quantity of supply is between 0 and infinite. Okay, so there is very extremely large responsiveness of the quantity supply, okay, to any small price change. So this is the case where the supply is perfectly elastic. In this case, the price elasticity of supply is infinite. Okay, So as it's close to this case, then the supply is more inelastic. As the case is closer to the second case, the supply is more elastic. Okay, the real world case, it's in between these two cases. Okay, as the supply curve is flatter, the supply is elastic. As the supply curve is steeper, the supply is inelastic. Okay. Finally, we're going to ask what are the factors determining the size of the price elasticity of supply. There are two factors. One is availability of inputs, and the second is time. Okay, so when inputs are readily accessible, then the sellers can adjust its quantity easily, so that the supply is elastic. Okay, in the other case where inputs are not easily accessible, then sellers cannot adjust its quantity easily. In that case, supply is inelastic. Okay. In the short run, say in a day, in a week, sellers don't have enough time to adjust its quantity. So in the short run, the supply is inelastic. However, in the long run, it can adjust its quantity in the long run, say in a year or in a decade. So the supply is more elastic in the long run. Okay. So that's it for the first lecture. I will make the video short and compact. I will present only key point, okay, so that you can learn mostly by solving uh, exercise questions, okay. So have a good time at home, okay.